everybody, Boyd here with you, and welcome to all my fellow modelers from around the world. We're back to a brand new year here at the shop. It's 2015 and we're happy to get going on a lot of new and exciting projects. We're going to be back to doing regular videos again. We've got things cranking up full bore. It's kind of cold out here in the shop, but we've got the heaters cranking, and Jeremy and I have got a lot of cool things we're going to take you through and show you some of the work we're doing on some of our current projects, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the project we've got coming up in the next year here. Some really cool and exciting stuff. We're going to be working on the U.S.S Reliant, starting a brand new build series on that and take you through that whole thing. We've got the Badass Models 1/2500 scale Battlestar Galactica kit. Lots and lots of cool stuff, guys. Today we're going to take you through and show you some work we've been doing on our 1537 scale AMT Reliant kit. I just finished up doing the top half of the Aztecs. Many of you guys have been following this build up on the Model Shop Guy show that Jeremy and I do every Saturday night, but we're going to show you an actual video, a little demo video today of how to apply these Aztec decals, at least the way I do them here in the shop, and we'll take you through that whole thing. Jeremy's working on his PT-109 boat to show you a little bit of that, and then we're going to be working on a light sequencer board for an Enterprise refit that we're building for a client, and we're going to show you our nice chaser sequence that we've got going on the bottom of the Shuttlebay floor and show you that all coming together. So we've got some cool stuff for today's video, and again, we're happy to be back to work and glad to be back with you guys. 2015 is going to be a great year, so sit back, enjoy the video. We'll see you on the bench in just a couple seconds, everybody. As promised, here's a look at the Shuttlebay that we're working on for another 1/350 scale Enterprise refit that we're building up for a client. And you can see that we've been working on the Shuttlebay here. We've got quite a bit of our preliminary work done. We've got it kind of mocked together right here, but we've got our photo etch windows in place. We've got all of our main girders in place here, and we've started painting some of the detail on the floor and the walls and everything. We've still got to put the railings in and the rear bulkhead and all that, and light block it all from the outside. But what I really wanted to show you guys today is that in this particular model, we've added a really nice landing bay effect, sequence light effect there on the floor. We always like to kind of reach for new heights and do new things here with each one of our builds. So we've got a really cool kind of dual lighting effect going on this, and I wanted to share it with you guys. You can see that we've got this strip that I've been doing sort of the same way on the last couple of refits, where I've got this masked off and light block from the back so that I can put a piece of LED tape underneath of it and have that strip all lit up and illuminated. And I always thought that looked really cool. But what we've done here is we've also added in our little light sequencing effect, so we have that going on along with our chaser lights going on. Now, I was talking to Ralph about this, and I decided that I wanted to do a 6 output version because I sort of measured here about how far I wanted to start these on the edge and how deep I wanted them to go, and the spacing and everything like that, and I came up with 6 on each side. And so Ralph put together this little board real quick for me and sent it to me. We've got 6 outputs here. I've got 2 LEDs tied to each one of these outputs, so we get a total of 12 lights, 6 on each side. And we did something kind of interesting here. I thought it would be kind of neat to kind of designate this area right around the opening of the bay sort of as the danger area. So we have our first couple of lights in red, and then they trail off to white as they go back to the normal landing area here. So that's kind of neat. So we've got that going on along with this little back lit area. So it really looks cool. This was really easy to put together. You just got your numbered outputs here. He gives you a really clear, easy to read instruction sheet for this, so it's really easy to figure out. And the reason I decided to go this route with LEDs instead of a lot of people like to do this with fiber optic. I've always thought that fiber optic works great in certain applications, but whenever I can get direct light to something, unless the space is absolutely too small, I like to put direct lighting in there. And the main reason is that you can see it from a better angle. Fiber optics tends to be where if you look at it too far from the side or too low like you're going to be when you finish this model up and you can only look in that little area in the Shuttlebay, the lighting and angle there doesn't show up very well. And these will show up in all directions and look nice and clear and clean from any direction. So what we did here is we worked with these little 1.5 millimeter LEDs. I've got the first 4 of them here are reds and the rest are just regular whites. And what I did here is these are the little 1.5s that have the little sort of round dome on the top. And so I drilled these holes really small, and then I countersunk them here from the back without going all the way through. And so that little socket of the LED fits right up in there, and the LED sits in there flush. And then I glued these all in place, you know, pre-wired them and glued them all in place. We tied our harness all together here. This board is so small that it'll tuck right underneath of the floor here in the belly of the model and fit in there. And we're going to wire this up to a separate switch so the owner of the model can either have the sequencer lights running or not. Otherwise, the light strip here will still be lit in the middle all the time. So that's going to be a nice effect. You can see that we've got our light blocking done here on the sides, and in the center we left it open because we're going to mount a strip of LEDs on the floor of the model that will light up that strip, but that would interfere with these. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be coming back and dabbing a little bit of black silicone over each one of these lights to completely block them out. That way when they run, they won't cast any light into this center area and vice versa. So let me turn this over really quick, and we'll turn it on, and we'll take a look at the actual effect. It looks really, really nice. And you can see we've got a nice timed effect here going on with the first couple being red and the last being white, and they kind of guide you right to that landing spot right there, which I think is kind of cool. And you can see it from all angles. Like I said, I'm going to turn this overhead light off so you guys can see the colors a little bit better. But even when you get down here flat like this, like I said, when you're looking in the Shuttlebay, you're going to be able to see those a lot clearer than you can with fiber optics. And I just think it worked out really, really great. So thanks again, Ralph, for putting that together for us. And again, everybody out there, if you're interested in something like that, you can contact Ralph. And there's some stuff that he has that's not on his website, guys. So if you have something out there that you're thinking about working on or whatever, it doesn't hurt to email or give Ralph a call, and he might have just the ticket for you. So we thought we'd give you a look at that, and you'll see that all installed in the model at some point here. We've done so much refit work on the channel, we're not really going to be showing continuing builds on those things, but whenever we have something sort of interesting like this to show you, we'll definitely share that with you guys. So, all right, back over to the Reliant. We'll see you back on the bench with that in just a couple seconds. All right, everybody, we're back with you really quick here, and here is a look at the AMT 1537 scale Reliant that we've been working on for our client. And we're really close to the end. We've been working on this one a couple of months. We've been giving you little updates on it as we've gone along on the Model Shop Guys show, and we're really getting close to the finish line here, so we thought we'd update you guys here for our first video of 2015 before we move on to the De Boer's Reliant. So you can see she's looking pretty good here. We left off last time where we were gluing the saucer down onto the lower half, and we had to do all of our seam work on that and putty work, and then we had to go around and do all of our paint touch-up. We finished that up, and then we connected our warp nacelles onto the sides here, wired in our wiring harness so that our lighting would work on our nacelles. You can see we've got it all tied together here. So we've been going around tidying up all the little seams and doing all the putty work and the light blocking and light leak blocking and things like that. But we got all that tidied up and ready to go, so it was time to start moving on to the Aztec decals on this one. And if you guys have built this model, or if you're intending to build it, Round 2 Models here has a really nice decal set for this, which simulates all the beautiful Aztec panels that we saw on the Reliant in Star Trek II. And it's about as close as you can come to painting them on. Painting these on would be really, really difficult, and a lot of people don't have the time or don't want to do it that way. So this is a really nice alternative, and it turns out really beautiful. But as you can see, the model is almost entirely wrapped in decals by the time you're finished, so you can think of it as being completely wallpapered. So it's really important that we make sure that we do some things to make the decals lay down and you know, kind of sink into the crevices and everything that they should to get that painted on look. And so there are a couple of products that we used here to do this. My two favorites here are this Microsol and Walther's Solva set. The Solva set from Walther's being a little bit more powerful than the Microsol. Microset is another product that's out there, and I just usually go right straight to the red because it's not that that overly strong, and it just does its job really, really well every time. So the other stuff is just kind of light for almost everything. So the one in the red bottle here is the one I prefer, but everybody has their own taste for how that works. But what we did here is we got the hull all prepared. We started off with our basic paint work with applying our adhesion promoter first, and then we applied our primer in 2 coats with a nice sanding of 1000 in between coats, nice wet sanding, and then we applied our Speesecker paint. We mixed up a little bit of an off-white color here and sprayed that down with sanding with 1000 grit wet sandpaper in between. So we had a really nice smooth painted surface that was ready for our decals. I sprayed on a really light coat of Tester's Dull Coat before we laid down the decals over top of that. A lot of people will use gloss coat, and it's good either way. As long as the surface has been sanded properly and prepped properly, it'll come out really nice either way. You can use the gloss if you want to, but the dull coat will work too. And anyway, we started off with that, and then we laid down our decals. We started off at the top here because we didn't have the roll bar here in place, and we wanted to have a nice open area where we could lay down all these decals and not have to worry about trying to sneak them underneath and things like that. We also did the bottom side of the roll bar here and got that all done and sealed up so that we could just drop it down and all that work would already be done. So we started off with that step here, and we just started working our way around following this really easy to follow instruction guide here, which every decal is numbered, and it gives you the exact placement. There is one misprint on the actual decal sheet where they have two of these pie wedges labeled number 6, and you'll find that one of them is actually number 7, and you'll figure that out as soon as you get to that point. But you just basically work your way around, and you have to trim a little bit off on the edges because they do overlap just a little bit. And what I basically did is, to make sure these would lay down in here flat, as I laid each panel, I took my hobby knife and just lightly dragged it across each one so it made a little slice in the decal itself, all the way this way and all the way that way. And that way when I put my solvent on here, my microsol, it just melted those edges and took them right down into those cracks just like it should. So it worked out really, really well. We didn't have any problems at all. We just had to use regular microsol. Probably 2 applications with about a 5 or 10 minute drying time in between, and it worked out great. The only area that I had trouble with was these little decals that go over top of the phaser banks, and you can see they're nice decals because they already are in the correct color, and they have the little red border around there, which you can paint that on there, but this is a lot easier if you can make it work. Well, the problem with this is you have these little nubs that sort of stick up here, and to get a decal to lay down on that is kind of difficult. I had my doubts whether it was going to work or not, but when I first applied it on there, I used the microsol, and it just kind of stayed on top, looking like a flat piece of paper on top of the whole thing. So I decided to get out my trusty Walthers, which I've had experience with and know that it's a little bit stronger. And I tried that, and sure enough, after about 5 minutes, you could see it immediately starting to work. It took about 4 or 5 applications, and before long, it just settled right down on there. And it looks great. It looks like it's been painted on, so I'm really happy with that. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to take a quick look around the model here. We always like to show you the lighting that we've done on these, and then we're going to flip the model over, and we're going to start working on it. We're going to demonstrate by applying some of these Aztec pie wedges around the bottom half of the saucer so we can finish up all the detail there. Then all we'll have left to do is the warp nacelles, and then we can seal the whole thing up. And Saturday night's show on the Model Shop, guys, we're going to show this one getting mounted onto the base, so that'll be pretty cool. So let's take a look here real quick around the lighting. You can see one of my favorite parts about this little model is that if you use these paragraphic photo etch parts for the Shuttlebay detail, you get that really nice ring lighting around the edges there. That's my favorite part of the modifications that you do with the paragraphics. But you get the nice grills that go over the impulse engines, the grill up here on the behind the officer's lounge. There's actually an officer's lounge window with that, but I felt it was a little bit oversized with the paragraphics, so I just kind of scratch built my own. The original studio model had much more of a kind of a narrow slit like this on the backside instead of a kind of a higher kind of curved, which is what the paragraphics one looks like. But either way, you can do it either way you want. You also get the nice cages here for the crystals, and that adds a really nice, beautiful detail onto that. And so you can see we've got some nice lighting going on. We did our modification here at the bridge, as you can see, the same way we do on the 350 scale refit kits that we're building. We raised the bridge slightly and we moved it slightly forward, and it still, looks perfectly fine. And you get this beautiful flood lamp effect now coming off the top the way it should, instead of mounting an LED here at the front, which I just never cared for that particular method. But it looks really nice. The light's a little bit too bright in here right now to show it, but in low light you get a nice V light effect here that lights up this area here. We've got some Raytheon lighting we built into this model as well. You can see if I kind of shadow my hand over it, you can see we've got it there at the forward section and here at the rear section of our nacelles. And once we do our decal wrap and put our little registry numbers there, that'll look really nice. And we've got something really unique on this one. We've got a quad firing torpedo setup. Now I don't have the speaker wired in at this moment, but I'll give you the effect here if I can carefully touch these two wires together and keep the camera on the launcher. Let me grab this other wire here really quick, and let's give this a shot. Try to get you a good clear picture here. I'm fighting these wires with one hand, guys. Alright, let's try it. As you can see, we get the starboard side unit firing first, and then the port side, and then we have the same thing going on in the back. I'll see if I can get around to the other side and show you that. And they fire one after the other, so you get 4 shots. And you can see we have that going on there. Let me try it once more. Very cool. And with the sound effect that goes with it, it's really, really nice. So that's a brand new board that's available from Tenant Controls. So appreciate that very much, Ralph. And he'll have that up on his website if you guys decide you want one of those for your Reliant or something like it. Okay, guys, so that's a pretty good look at the lighting. You can see a little bit more here, I guess. The planetary sensor, the chiller grills. Kind of hard to see in the little towel there. We've got the little, maybe if I pick it up here, we can see a little bit more. There we go. We've got our little flood lamps there in the unique location that they were on the Reliant there at the forward part of the nacelle. Our beautiful chiller grills, all of our window lighting. We've gone through and used the Microsol, my favorite here, the canopy glue, using this little syringe. I basically just stick this in the bottle and suck a little bit of it up and just go around the model and do all the little windows, put it right in the window and inject a little bit in there. Take a paper towel or with a little bit of water on it, or a Q-tip or something like that, with a little bit of water on there. You can just wipe the excess right off, and when they dry, you get these really nice little windows. You can see you don't get the glittering effect, you know, that you'd get if you didn't have anything in there from the LEDs kind of flickering and bouncing around, and they look really, really nice. It takes about a day for them to dry, and we did all that. So she's all wrapped up, guys. So we're just down to a couple little detail parts and doing the Aztec. So let's turn the model over. We'll come back on the bench and get you a bird's eye view here, and we'll start putting down some of these decals. Be back with that in just a couple seconds, everybody. Okay, everybody, well, we've been working on the bottom side of the Reliant now, as you can see in this shot, and we've been working our way all the way around the saucer, putting these Aztec decals down. And I've been using these techniques that I was talking about here, getting these to lay down nice and flat. We're using a combination of this Walthers Solvaset and our Microsol. And as we've gone along each panel here, we've come back with our number 11 hobby knife here, a really, really nice new sharp one. And we've just really gently, after we let the decals dry for a little while, after we had them soaking with Solvaset, we just went back in here and just dragged this knife along in all the little grid patterns here, so that we would allow these edges of these decals to settle down into those cracks and be nice and flat, and try to avoid any type of silvering that we might get. That's where you get a pocket of a hollow pocket behind your decal, and it shows up as extra glossy when you apply your final top coat on this, which will be a matte clear finish. On the bottom of the Reliant model here, you have a couple of areas where there's some raised details, little square shapes and things like that, around the phaser banks, around these hatches. There are these extra grid cutouts, if you want to call them that. And so that would be a problem for the decal to lay down on there nice and flat and not have any wrinkles around the edges of it. You can get it to come really, really close using this Walthers, this heavy solvent type material, which will really, really shrink the decals down and really force them to lay down on there. But we can do a couple of things in these areas here to help out with that and make that work better for us. And one of the things that we want to do here is, when we come to an area like this where we've got this phaser, for example, I'm going to show you laying this decal down on here and what we do to make our decal work a little bit better. First, we want to make sure we have it nice and wet. Water is a lot of water is the key to working successfully with decals in most cases. If you get a little bit too dry, they'll get really stubborn and hard to move, and you can wind up ripping them and tearing them. And you want to lay your decal down onto the surface like we are here and test fit it first and make sure it looks good. And then we want to keep this paper flat as we can possibly do as we slide this decal out from underneath the film here, the paper backing. And we want to keep it lined up right on that edge. And I'm going to try to catch it with my finger. And then we just kind of go like this, trying to keep it flat, and right away get some more water on it so that now you can gently start moving it. So here I am cutting out around this phaser bank here. We want to make sure that we're going to remove this extra material from around the edge so that our decal won't wrinkle and cause us a problem. That way we'll have less of this solution that we have to use to make this settle down, and it'll work out much better for us. So again, using this really sharp number 11 blade knife, I'm just going to really carefully get along the edge of this shape here and just trim my decal film away from it. And then I'm going to remove the film and slide it off to the side. And now the decal will be able to be worked, and it'll settle down just right. We won't have to worry about those wrinkles coming in there. We've also got a phaser bank decal that, like we showed you on the top, that we're going to demonstrate here in just a couple minutes on working with getting that down. That one you have to use a lot of patience and a lot of the Walther's stronger type solvent to get it to settle down over the top of these. And it takes several applications. You've got to just kind of ride it out, watch it, and keep coming back and put in new application on about every 15 minutes or so, and after about 5 or 6 times it should settle right down on there. But we'll show you the process for that here. So I'm just getting all the little wrinkles out with my brush, real gentle, and then I'm going to touch it with my clean paper towel here, just tamp it down a little bit. And I'm just about done with all that. So that's looking really good. So now what I want to do is I want to let this sit, but I'm going to just lightly brush on a light coat of this microsol first. And that's going to give us the general kind of setting of the decal, and it should look pretty good. We'll determine if we have to do anything more than that after it sits for a few minutes. Then once it's sort of locked down in there, I'm going to take my hobby knife again here, and these are the last two. This little grouping right here is the last group, so I'll just go lightly scribe these like I mentioned, and that way the edges of the decals can start to settle, and I'll brush one more coat of this on, and that'll melt those all right down into those nice grooves there, and we'll have a nice flat surface. Then we can go on to adding all the marking decals onto this, because the basic Aztec pattern is done. So all we've got left after this point is the bottom side of the Aztec decals for the engines, and a little bit of the side detail on the inside here, and we're pretty much done with the Aztecs. And we'll show some of the final markings going on after that, so we'll be back with that in just a little bit. Okay everybody, we're a little bit farther along on our Reliant now. I've been working with our microsol and our Solva set from Walther's here, and you can see this is probably about the 5th or 6th application, but we're going to zoom in on these phaser banks here for you. So you can see they're starting to settle down. You still have these little microscopic little wrinkles that are in these, but these will eventually totally disappear. Once I get these down to where they're laying down pretty close to being flat, I'll just take my brush here, and I'll just start kind of pushing on them, and while I've got that Walther's on there, and it'll give them something to stick to, and then they'll start just smoothing right out. This has been taking probably about 45 minutes or so, with application about every 10, 15 minutes, something like that. So like I said, 4, 5, 6 applications of this stuff, but they're going to smooth right out, and they're going to look really good. Really happy with it. And we've got the rest of the Aztecs all in place here, and they're drying. I've started working on the bottom side of the engines up here towards the top, as you can see. So I'm just going to continue working my way around. Well everybody, we're ready to go on the bench again, and we're getting our base ready to go. We've been working on installing all the little components before we mount the Reliant on top of it. We've got a little miniature speaker that we mounted in here for our photon torpedo sound effects. We've got a strip of LED tape all around the perimeter of this, which is going to give us our nice backlighting for this backlit plaque on the top. And we've got our basic wiring hooked up here coming off of our jack. We've got a 9-volt wall wart, a 1.5 amp wall wart coming to this that just plugs into the back. So we've got our power coming over to this block here. We'll connect our power wire to the model and over to the switch here, so we can turn the power of the model on and off with this switch on this side. And over here we have a momentary switch that we're going to connect our 2 momentary wires that activate the photon launcher and solder that in place. And then we're going to connect our 2 speaker wires here. So we're going to lower the model down. What we've got to do is we've got the plaque up underneath of the model with the mounting rod coming through and our wire. So we've got to carefully bring our wire and our rod down and thread it through this part right here and pull it through. And then Jeremy's going to actually hold the lid of the base up while I work and connect all these solder points here. Once we finish all that, we're going to dab a little drop of canopy glue on each corner here, and then we're going to lower the lid down, and then the model will be pretty much completed and mounted, but we're going to have to touch up our black paint that we do on our brass rod there, because when you slide this lid up and down, it scratches a little bit. So after we have everything kind of set in place, we'll mask off the top of the lid, and then we'll touch that up with our airbrush. So we're going to come right back here. We're going to have everything set up, and we're going to start finishing the final procedure of getting our Reliant finished here, guys. So we'll show you that in just a couple seconds. Alright everybody, here we are for the big moment, getting ready to mount the model on the base permanently here, and you can see Jeremy's holding up the lid here. I've gone in and hooked up some of the preliminary wiring. I have my ground wire connected to the hub here, and I've got my plus wire soldered onto our switch. And so the last wires that we're working with are connecting our speaker wires onto our speaker here and our momentary switch, so we're going to do that right now. You can see we have the model up here on top and all pretty and ready to go. So let's get this done and we'll be able to lower the top down and take a look. It's going to be a little tricky getting my solder iron down in here, but we'll give it our best. Glad I have Jeremy here to help me, because this is kind of a touchy situation here with trying to hold the lid up. I really didn't want to use any tape to hold the lid up in this case, because we've got the Aztec decals on the model, and don't want to take any chances of maybe pulling some of those off. So get that one on there good. Just letting our solder set up here for us. Yeah, but this works really, really well. We've got a nice solid mount in here on the wood, as you can see going down. We threaded our wires through the pedestal, and then just as Jeremy held the lid up here, we just kind of pre-attached everything, and when we drop the lid down now, it's going to be nice and clean, and we trimmed all our wires to the right lengths. I really like working with these Wolf base display bases from Dave and Jerry at HD Model Works. They're really nice. They're convenient. I was able to mount my switches. Dave already had the holes pre-drilled, and we've got nice rubber casters on the bottom of these, so they sit nice and smooth on your table or wherever you're going to display the model. They're just really, really nice. And you'll see here it makes a nice display once we get this finished up. Okay, we'll just connect our momentary switch now, and we should be able to test everything. Okay, so you guys are going to get to see this for the first time just like us. We're going to go ahead and we've got everything connected here. We're going to turn the power on, and woo, we got lights. Awesome. And you can see everything on the model is working here. All the flashers and strobes and everything, grills are lighting up, and you can see we've got some nice backlighting going on that lid. So we'll push our momentary switch. And we've got everything working, folks. We can't believe it, right, Jeremy? It's kind of tough pulling all that off. Get you a little pan-up shot on the model here, and I'll fire this photon again. You can see the sound's coming through real nice on that. And we'll pull the camera off of the mount here. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower this down on here. I'm going to dab a couple of drops of canopy glue in each corner here before we drop it down. That way, if you ever want to have access to the lid, it won't be difficult at all to get it raised back up. You don't want to put any kind of a permanent glue on that in case you have to ever access the wiring or anything in there. So I'm going to do that really quick here, and we'll come back and we'll show you some nice beauty shots of the model here, all finished up, guys. So see you with that in just a couple seconds. Hi again, everybody. Boyd here with you again. We're back for the finale of our AMT Reliant build. She's all finished up now. We would like to show it to you. You can see we've got it mounted on the base, and we've pulled our protective film off the top so you guys can see this beautiful work that Jerry at HDA Model Works did. We've got this nice laser cut backing here that's got the Delta shield there in the center, and the Star Trek II logo, and the Wrath of Khan, and the U.S.S. Reliant NCC 1864. It's beautiful. And we've got it mounted on this nice thin brass rod. It has a little bit of wobble to it if you bump it, but it's nice and sturdy and strong. If the model is sitting on a shelf and everything like that, it won't be a problem at all. And we wanted to keep that really, really thin and hidden as much as possible so it looks really clean. And you can barely notice it underneath of the model in low light. And you can see we've got it mounted nice and flush there underneath. Now, we use that mounting method that we've talked about before, where we had one of these wood blocks. And if you go back and watch our Model Shop Guys episode, we covered how we mounted that in this model and mounted it inside with some epoxy. We drilled with our drill press about 3/4 of the way through with a larger size, and then we stopped and we went to the smaller size the rest of the way through. So that gives a stop for that rod to go up there and sit on. So the model sits on top of this base with gravity, and allows you to be able to pivot the model all the way around 360 degrees. We have it epoxied on the bottom side there inside, so we don't spin any of the wires around inside the with the connections and everything there. So this will last for years and years. It's a really beautiful display. I'm going to go ahead and turn the power on now, and you can see we have that nice backlighting effect with our LED tape, and with this laser cutting that Jerry does there. These look like perfect, almost like a computer display screen. They're so crisp and clean, and you can't see any light leaks or twinkling of the lights when you move around on it. It looks like a real monitor display. It's just beautiful, and it's very similar to what we had on the Enterprise refit that we did. You can see we've got our 2 switches here for the main power to turn the display on and all the lighting on the model. You can see we've got all that going on now, and we're really proud of this Reliant. We learned a lot since the last couple that we built, and improved each one as we go along, and this has just turned out really, really beautiful. We're really happy with it. You can see we've got all of our Raytheon lighting working there on the nacelles, and our window lighting and our lighting here at the top came out really nice. We did the modification to the bridge by raising it slightly and moving it forward so we can get that nice flood lamp effect and not have to drill and mount an LED here that's kind of common on a lot of these builds. I just think it looks nicer this way. It's a little bit more work, but it's worth it. And you can see all the Aztecs have been done on this, and they laid down on there beautifully. A lot of people have used these, and they've had really good results. Next to painting them on, it's about as best as you can do. And using the methods that we talked about with the microsol and the Solvaset, we were able to get these down there really, really nice. We went over each of these grid lines with our hobby knife and cleared those out so that the decals would lay down there nice and flat, and I'm really pleased. Here's a look at the bottom side, and you can see we've got our navigational sensor there, our planetary sensor, all lit up with a forward floodlight like it should have, and really, really nice. We've got our that's something I only recently discovered, that the Reliant actually had this flashing crystal on the bottom that was an amber in the film, and I always thought it was blue. That's the way I built my original one, so we made an improvement there on this one. You can see we've got our Raytheon lighting on the insides of our nacelles too. I'm going to turn the lights down here in just a second, and you guys will see this in some low lighting. We can spin her around here and take a look at the detail at the rear. We've got our nice photo etch shuttle bays in there, and I've mentioned this before, but that's my favorite part of the add-ons for this model. It just brings it right to life and immediately makes it look more like the Reliant did in the film, and it's well worth doing the work to put those in as well. And you can see we've got the nice grills over our impulse engines. This entire photo etch kit is from Paragraphics, for those of you that might build one of these in the future. You can see we've got our officer's lounge worked in there at the rear, our nice crystal, and all of our strobes and navigation lights. Again, we're learning more and more as we build these guys. We've toned down our lighting more and more in scale on these models, and I really think we really nailed this one where we got a lot of the lighting to look in scale and not too bright. The chiller grills always appear way overexposed on these cameras, but in person they've got a beautiful neon blue, kind of a subtle glow to them, just like they should. But as far as our window lighting and our NAS and strobes, we experimented with a lot of different LEDs and SMDs and things like that to get the toned down look that we wanted here, to try to keep the lighting in scale on this model. I like the lighting on my original Reliant, but it's a little bit too bright, and that really is important when you start looking at a miniature and a scale model. And so we've really been concentrating a lot on that, and you can see we've had good results with it. It looks really nice. I'm going to walk over to the door here and shut the main shop lighting down, and we'll take a look at the model in some low light real quick. Alright everybody, well I'm here with you again, and we're going to take a look at the model in some low lighting. I've got the main shop light shut off, and we'll just kind of wander around here a little bit and have a look at it. You can see, like I was talking about, we worked really hard to get our scale toned down quite a bit for the lighting on this. Being it's a fairly small model, we wanted to keep everything kind of not glowing and blazing too bright where it blocks out being able to see some of the detail of the model as well. So I think it came out really nice, and there you can see our backlit display a little bit better, and everything blinking and twinkling like it should. We've got our strobes at the back of the nacelles and all around the top here, the bridge, the roll bar, and really nice. You can see in the light here with the sheen on this saucer too, it's really nice and smooth. You'd barely be able to tell. You have to get right up to it, like almost like a microscope, to look at it to tell if it's been painted or decaled. So that really works well with these decals. I think they did a great job engineering those, and it's amazing that you can wrap an entire model with them and barely notice. And here's a look at the bottom. You can see we've got our planetary sensor with our floodlight lighting up the registry here, and you can see a little bit of our Raytheon lighting on the nacelles there. Yeah, it just kind of struck me as funny that I never noticed before until I went back and watched the film again, that the Reliant does have this flashing amber colored crystal on the bottom. I built my Reliant with the solid on blue, which I thought it always was, like the Enterprise, but that's kind of unique to this, and it's kind of cool looking. So we added that little detail and improved it over the last build, and really nice though. But you can see our windows are nicely in scale and everything. I'll shut off our overhead light here altogether, and you can see we've got the flood lighting going on here at the saucer, and just have a look around here. Our crystals are lit up there on the nacelles. Really nice. We'll have a look again at the rear part of the model. I can just spin it right around, which is cool. Here's our Shuttlebay detail again. I just absolutely love that detail. Love those shots of the tail end of the Reliant from the movie. We'll fire these torpedoes again. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'll turn off our background lighting here a little bit more, and we'll get one more shot in a little bit lower light here. Still got this huge TV monitor in the background, otherwise you'd see the flood lamp a little bit better at the front. And a good look at the backlighting here on the plaque. Okay, well, I think that's going to be a wrap on this one, everybody. We really enjoyed building this model, and again, thanks for following along. We'll be doing a lot more exciting stuff. We're going to be doing what I call Reliant Senior. We're going to be starting on the De Boer's 1/266 scale kit, and that will be our next complete video build series here on the channel. That's going to start in just a few days. after we publish this one, so we're going to be back to putting out regular videos again, guys. So hope you tune in and check it out. We're going to have a lot of fun building that. We learned a lot about building that one from this kit, a lot to do with the colors that we chose and some of the things that we worked with, so we can apply a lot of that over to the big model as well. But we're really happy with this, and again, Jamie, thanks for allowing us to build this for you. We really appreciate it, and we'll get it out to you right away, and I'm hoping you'll send us some pictures or videos along the way. We'd love to see that. So that's a wrap, guys. Take care out there. Happy modeling. We'll see you next time.